insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
All right, welcome back to the Coast to Coast Racing Network, everyone. We apologize for the technical difficulties. I think we're having some internet issues here speed-wise, but it sounds like everything is all good. We are back up and operating here, so I think with that, we are just about set to go for Rebels action here at Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55. Marty Cicala with you, back on the call. As we prep for action. Pretty sure that everything here is all good, and yep, all appears to be so. Rebels don't have, normally the Rebels here is just the try to qualify your way into the Renegades portion of our event here tonight. There is a battle, though, for the points championship regardless. As we'll get qualifying underway here in just a couple of moments. So first driver we'll watch on the racetrack, we'll put Brandon Templeton back here on the clock. We'll show lap times as they come across the line. First lap time for the driver of the 31, B-Temp. Sets the bar here in qualifying. Nope, actually, that lap did not count, correction. B-Temp quick time, 10.460. Nice lap from him. Brian Moore Sr., second quick. Here's Jeff Kemper making his way down to turns number 3 and 4. So a lap for him. One more driver left to qualify here. Steven Fernberg in the number 29. Current series points leader, lap number 2 at a 10.63. Fernberg leading the points with the drops on Brian Moore Sr., 581 to 553, so a 28-point advantage. They are the two drivers that will battle it out for the championship going into next week at Pevely, Missouri. Bear with us doing a speed test here real quick while we're streaming, making sure that all is good. May experience some packet loss, but that should be just about ready to go for qualifying. I believe a 3-minute session here. You see the times on your screen. Templeton, 10.460. Brian Moore Sr., 10.52. Steve Bixler, 10.55. Jeff Kemper, 10.63 alongside Steven Fernberg. Pat Boyce, 10.67. Zach Chapman, 10.81. And Steve Maurer, 10.98. So if the stream is a little bit more pixely than normally has been, apologies for that, as we just had to make a downgrade from our bitrate streaming-wise, so we can make sure we have a Rebels race for you. Of course, Rebels brought to you by Salty Dogs Race Team. Of course, highest salty dog in a race gets a dog bone. Without them, Rebels are not possible. So we're ready to go for our first heat race of the night. Actually, our only heat race. So this is technically pretty much a 38-lap feature for the Rebels. They'll take 8 laps in heat races, no yellows. Then take a break to try and figure out their times here in warm-ups. Then we'll have a 30-lap feature. So, starting lineup has Jeff Kemper in the Mayor, Steve Bixler on the pole, the 181 and the 75. Row number 2, Brian Moore Sr. in the 55 and B-Temp, Brandon Templeton in the 31. Row number 3, Stephen Fernberg in car 29 next to Pat Boyce in the 41. And the final row, Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72 and Steve Maurer in the 88. Chapman will not start the heat race, but we do expect him, though, at least to see him in the feature. Monday Night Madness brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Custom designs by the Chapman family down in the Iowa area. As we're set for the green here for our only heat race of the night. Winner on pole for the feature, we're green. Kemper and Bixler wing to wing for the race lead off in turn number 4, lap 1, led by the 181. They stay side by side through the corners this time of the race for second. Bixler edging out Templeton at the line for that spot. Now can B-Temp get around. Ooh, boy. The Mayor very sideways through in turn number 2 as he has to catch it. Templeton tries to clear on the 75. Doesn't work. Side by side for fourth. You got Moore Sr. and Pat Boyce. They nearly touch as Boyce scraped the wall in turn number 2. And the sparks still continue to fly off the number 41. They've been wing to wing for fourth the last couple laps. Stephen Fernberg watching both of them very closely. On board the 29 car. And the high side working well for him, just past Brian Moore Sr. to move up into the 5 spot. Bixler has Templeton clear. The second position is his. Oh, Bixler up the wall in turn 4. Does he have steering damage, though? More contact. Now he does. Up on his side goes the Mayor. And he'll start 8th in our feature this evening. Final lap already underway in this heat race, and it's Jeff Kemper out in front in car number 181 over Brandon Templeton, Stephen Fernberg, Brian Moore Sr., Zach Chapman, Pat Boyce, and Stephen Maurer. Checkered flag waves. A photo at the line for 5th as Boyce edges out Zach Chapman. But it's Jeff Kemper that wins the heat race. So we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, it is feature time here for the Rebels on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Stay with us here for Monday Night Madness. We're back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as we prepare for feature time here with our Rebels division at I-55. Again, if you're watching live, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. We'll give you a shout out live and on the air. Fun night of racing so far. The Open 358 race did not disappoint, that's for sure. Well, hopefully the same thing goes for the Rebels despite the car count we have here this evening. Ready for feature time? Let's meet the field and give you your starting lineup for this evening. On the pole, Jeff Kemper in the 181 to his outside B-Temp Brandon Templeton in the 31. Row number 2, Steven Fernberg in the 25. Next to him, it's Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Row 3, Pat Boyce in car 41. Next to him, it's Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. And the final row, Steve Maurer in the 88 and the mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. Time for picks to win. Who we think is going to get it this evening? I'm going to go with the man that starts from the 6th spot. Give me Zach Chapman this evening. White flag waves while lap till we take the green. So field making their way through turns number 3 and 4. Pace struck it is for the second time. It is time to shake and bake. Kemper, Templeton, bring us to green. Time to get it on at Pavely. Flatline Racing Bodies, green flag, 30 laps around I-55. Kemper leading lap number 1 of this 30-lap feature. Templeton and Fernberg do get up for the second position as the field makes the way into turn number 3. Templeton went in deep in the corner to clear the 29 of Fernberg. Side by side for 4th, Brian Moore Sr. and Zach Chapman. These two have had a little history in these past few weeks, but they're hoping it all is true stout for now. Senior trying to close in on Steven Fernberg. Remember, these are the two drivers that are battling for the championship. 28 points with drops in effect, separated between 3rd and 4th. And now Templeton wants the race lead for the 181 of Kemper. Can he get it off the corner? They stay side by side on board the 31. You can see the sparks fly out of the 181 once again. Go to the race for 4th here. This is also a good one too. Brian Moore Sr. and Zach Chapman battling for that position. Up the wall for a moment goes Fernberg. He hangs onto it, but scrapes the wall with a tail tank in the fuel bar. On board with Moore Sr. in the 55. Here he goes, 3rd spot. Moore Sr., does he have it from Fernberg? They go into turn number 3. At the line, Moore takes the spot away. Bottom step of the podium is his. So Moore's got that spot. Fernberg fighting back, and Fernberg now edging out for that bottom step of the podium. As we're at 10 down, 20 laps to go for Jeff Kemper. Lead at 0.6 of a second over the 31 of Brandon Templeton. Fernberg hanging on to 3rd. Let's go on board with Zach Chapman, who's all over the 55, and Brian Moore Sr. for 4th. Chapman, Templeton, actually correction, really sideways off for turn 4. That allows Steven Fernberg to close in. And now a 3-car race for second breaks out. And this would be big if Fernberg takes the spot away. And now he'd have to chase it down Jeffrey Kemper. And I'd love to look at the stats of Kemper right now as we come to the halfway point. 15 up and 15 down for the driver of the 181. Templeton hanging on to second. Good defense as he now tries to get back in a rhythm over the 29 car. Those wondering, Templeton up on the wall once again. He's forced to catch it. And up on the wall once again. That car is in big trouble. Oh, we got trouble. Pat Boyce. They've been blinking actually, rather, in turn number 3. Looks like he's all good. Jeffrey Kemper has opened up the lead though. 1.3 seconds on Brandon Templeton in that number 34 ride. Now let's see how Tubman can do on that 888 of Maurer. Maurer lets the second place driver go with no issues for right now. Nine laps to go. The lead for Kemper has gone down a little bit. 9/10 of a second. We got trouble. Moore Sr. on 2 wheels. This will bring the yellow flag out. And I wonder how this happened. Moore looking underneath on Steven Fernberg. Oh, Maurer, Fernberg, and Moore just simply hooked in the battle for the spot. Zach Chapman catching a piece of the accident too. He was luckily able to keep it straight, but I don't think passes count there unless it was at the line. Go on board with Moore Sr. here. Well, the lights are off, and this makes everything interesting coming back to green. Kemper won a couple days ago at Road America in the Xfinity Series. The last time, though, he won on dirt, May 9th, 2023 in a late model at Fairbury. He's never won. Last time he won in a sprint car, August 2022. And he could do it, but he has to hold on for 7 more laps. That yellow, obviously, what you want if you're Templeton. But he clipped the wall once again as he hangs on through turns number 3 and 4. And now it's Zach Chapman trying to find his way up to the runner-up spot. He made his way past Steve Bixler for 3rd. In fact, Bixler maybe trying to fight back in the 75. After he clipped the wall and got on 2 wheels and his feet right in the fence. Here goes Templeton for the race lead. And he has to hang on to it. Remember, top 5 pending IL get in the show. Right now it's Kemper, Templeton, Chapman, Bixler, and Steven Fernberg. Pat Boyce trying to make the show as he's looking for 5th. Look at this 4-car traffic jam for 3rd. And now it's 3 wide for 4th. Contact between Fernberg and Bixler. They hang on and keep it straight. Chapman sideways. I think there was bumper-to-bumper contact between him and Pat Boyce, and that cost Boyce some spots. Bixler, meanwhile, I think he may have gotten DQ'd. White flag, though, waves. Final lap underway. Templeton versus Kemper. Who's going to take the win? Templeton looking for some help off the corner. Jeff Kemper, first sprint car win since 2022. How about that? That is pretty dang cool, that's for sure, for the 181. Last one on dirt in May of 2023. Last sprint car win, August 2022 at Port Royal. And Kemper just shocked the 360 Rebels division as he takes the win. Not a first-time winner, but he gets to make the big return, and we are looking forward to chatting with the driver, the Gambler 181, in just a matter of moments. Biggest mover was Zach Chapman, up 3 spots to finish in 3rd. Now let's chat with him about it. Shaggy, wild final few laps there, or wild second half as a whole. Take me through it.
Yeah, man. I felt like I had some speed. It was just really tough to get around, kind of one lane. But whenever those guys made contact in front of me, I don't know which one of them came up and got into me, but man, the handling went away. I'm looking at my car now, slowed down. It looks like that left rear is kind of bent in, so that makes sense. But I just felt like track position was too important. So when I got up to 3rd, just needed to stay out and try to hold on.
Were you using up the tires low early on, though, or no?
Let's see here. I'm still in here. My right rear, no, I was in the high 70s.
Oh, wow, okay.
78 and 74 in the middle. So, yeah, I was okay.
Well, not bad. Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I joked with Jeff. He hasn't raced in months, man. I said, if you go out here and win, I guess I'm not allowed to race for 3 months because that's what it takes.
There you go.
To win
Goodbye.
around here. And
There
man,
you go.
He did it. He went out there, held on. He did it. Huge run there by my teammate Jeff Kemper. Couldn't be happier for him. But our other teammate John Hine hanging out tonight. So awesome night getting the Gambler boys together. But huge shout out to you, Marty. You do an amazing job. Everyone here coast to coast. Jack Hitt, Jeff Barker, all the boys who keep it going. Thanks, Marty.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zach. Great job. And hopefully we'll talk to you again later tonight.
Yeah, we'll see.
Zach Chapman finishing in 3rd. Well, don't know if we got Brandon Templeton in here. I don't think we will, but we'll move on to the man of the hour here. Nope, we do have Brandon, actually. So hold the phone on that. We've got Brandon with us. Oh, so close, B-Temp. What more did you need for Jeff?
I don't know. I probably needed to set him up a little better on that last couple moves. I gave it away there with about 2 or 3 to go, making a move that didn't work. And Jeff was on a rail up there. You know, it was just tough to come off the top and keep traction. But that was an absolutely fun race. You know, hats off to him for the win.
Absolutely. Regardless of that, though, you still had a really fast car. And maybe did you learn anything going into Renegades later tonight?
I don't know. I think it'll probably handle pretty similar. I'm guessing the track will be a little more blown off, and you know those guys get up on the throttle a little more, or at least are more consistent across the entire field as far as speed. So it makes it a little tougher, but we'll see what can happen.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
I got to thank Jay with Dirt Track Bank, everybody back at Hammerdown Racing, Kurt, Joe, Brian, Extreme Images, Maley's Makery, Big C's Lawn Care. Thanks to family for helping me do this, or letting me do this, and thanking everyone for Memorial Day weekend. You know, think about those that we lost. So everyone, you know, thanks for tuning in.
Well, great job tonight, man. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish. Hopefully we see you later on.
Thank you.
So that's Brandon Templeton finishing 2nd. Now we go to the man of the hour, Jeff Kemper. I know you won a couple days ago in an Xfinity car, but damn it, this feels good. Your first win on dirt since May of 2023. How does this feel?
Oh, this is great. I've taken a long time off of iRacing and just kind of started messing around with flight sim and things like that. And it's been nice to come back. You know, I feel the fire for it again and the drive. And man, it's feeling great. Be able to hit the lines and read the track. Just started coming back to me.
Well, it doesn't look like, man, you have any ring rust, that's for sure. How did you feel going into a sprint car? Then when you look at how you timed in practice, or I'm sorry, how you inverted onward, did that boost your confidence a little bit?
With only having 8 people out there, you know, that was pretty much mid-pack qualifying. So I was happy with that, you know, coming back. And I ran a little bit of practice before, but only about a half hour, so didn't have a whole lot of time back into the sprint car. So I figured that was pretty good. And then saw with the invert, and I was up front, and the nerves started kicking in a little bit there. But the setup I had, the car handled great, so it wasn't too bad.
How are you going to celebrate this one tonight?
Well, we're gonna run the Renegade, see what happens there.
Awesome. Good to hear. You're going to go for the try. I like it. Who do you want to give shout-outs to on this run?
My Gambler Motorsports teammates, Aiden Young, Young Creations, Ling Gear Company, you for the broadcast, and all the other sponsors that we have.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy this win. We're very happy for you. Well done. Welcome back.
Thank you, Bob.
Jeff Kemper gets things done at I-55. What a cool win that is. Let's step aside and go to break. When we come back, Renegades time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a bit of a hiatus, so let's get.
Tonight we'll be talking about it.
Outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, they get hurt, we can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as we are under the lights now at Federated All Parts Raceway at I-55. Renegades are set to take flight here. Brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Marty Scala with you once again on the call. Pretty cool to see Jeff Kemper take that win in Renegades. Pretty dang cool without question. So, really happy to see him get that one done as... Now we're just about ready to go with the Renegades here. Checking the car count, I believe 16 drivers with us here this evening. Yeah, 15, 16 drivers or so. And with 2 races left to go, it's come down to a mono versus mono battle with the Renegade points with the drops. We're going to update this here for you. You got Blake Chapman with an 81-point advantage on Chad Cote here. How about Chad? Great season for the Goose in car number 11. Maybe if Chapman has a mishap tonight, we'll probably be forced to use this as a drop race, and maybe we'll allow Cote closing. We could have a good battle going into Houston next week for the title. Who knows? That could be a shocker. We'll just have to see. So practice has finished up, and with that, we are ready to go for qualifying for our Renegades. Car count's at 17 now, and everybody will make the show this evening. First driver on track, the number 29, Stephen Fernberg, getting set to go. Fernberg coming off a nice run in Rebels action where he looks to take the championship next week. Patrick Spangler quickest, 10:57. Joseph Grandi, 10:58. Here comes Fernberg off for turn number 4. Is it a better lap? No, 10:88. Patrick Spangler, 10:80. Quick time, Joseph Grandi. What a great lap for the 5:18 at a 10:53. Jeff Barker, lap number 1. Where's he clocking? 6th quickest, 10:75. Let's go to Chad Cote, the Goose, in the number 11. Barker, quickest of all drivers in Sector 1. He's on the orange. Does he have a better lap? Yes, he does. Second quick, 10:561 for the Burlington Beast. Here comes Gentleman Jack Hitt off for turn number 4. Cote up to 4th on lap number 2. Zach Chapman 6th. Jack Hitt in 7th. Here's Jeff Kemper off for turn number 4. First lap time, 10:90. Barry Goldner across the line to complete his lap. And that lap was also invalidated, so Barry Goldner does not post a time. Brad Wade off for turn 4, completing lap 1. He goes 10:82, 10th quickest. And now we go to the boss, Ross Corinna, in the number 10. Wade better in sector 1. He's better in sector 2. Where does the second lap time go? 10:62 to 5th. Ross Corinna, second quick on lap 1. 10:541. 8 thousandths off the pace of Joseph Grandy. Let's see if he's got something better here. Will he make the checkered flag? Yes, he does, with 1 minute left to go. Second lap time, it was slower, 10:628. Here's Rick Mayne on lap number 1. Makes his way off for turn number 4. First lap time! Quick time! 10:510. 10:51. Rick Mayne, 200ths better than Joseph Grandy. Second lap time off for turn 4. 10:712, but doesn't matter. Rick Mayne, the quickest in time trials. So with that, that'll conclude our time trials. Rick Mayne, the quickest with a beautiful lap time. I will pull up the best times as a whole. Look at that. Big difference between Mayne and Grandy at 200ths of a second. So that does it for qualifying. We've got 3 heat races set for you this evening. First heat race brought to you by Gambler Motorsports, and here's how the field lines up. Is on the pole, Gentleman Jack Kit in car number 217. To its outside, it's the 814 of Brad Wade. Row number 2, the Brood to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. To his outside, it's Rick Mayne in car number 187. Final row this evening, Jeff Kemper coming off the Rebels win, the 181, and the lowline master, Brendan Lacey, in the 114. So we're ready to go racing here with our Renegades division. 35 lap feature later on tonight, up for the normal 30. And again, if you're watching in chat, let us know who you're rooting for in the room. Waiting on Brendan Lacey, the grid, and then we'll get things going with our Renegades event. So Lacey is gridded up in his yellow 114, and we'll get going here. While we're at its schedule coming up for the rest of the week here for week 11 tomorrow night. Retread Tuesday, 360s at Fallujah, and the pickups at Daytona. Wednesday night, Hometown Heroes will be at Lernerville. Thursday is Thursday Night Thunder with small blocks, big blocks, and pro late models at Knoxville. And then next Monday, Championship Night, we are at Houston Speedway for our fun night of Open 358 Rebels and Renegades action. Gonna go green flag racing this time by. Winner of this heat starts on pole.
Green flag, green flag.
So always a critical feature. Heat race number 1 is we're green. Good start from Wade at the 814. Mayne trying to take away P2 from hit already. He was the quick timer in qualifying by a couple of hundredths. Lap 1 led by the 814. Brennan Lacey around the outside takes away the third spot from Gentleman Jacket. Now he tries to follow the 187 of Rick Main. Everyone wheeling and dealing here through the corners at I-55. Battle for fourth. Jeff Barker, can he put a little bit of a slider on Jacket? Lacey caught the wall in 3 and 4, so this brings out a 3-car battle for the third spot. Did the scrape in turns 1 and 2 do any damage off the 114 of Brennan Lacey? We'll have to see. On board with Jack. Lacey clipping the wall once again. Oh, that may have done damage and a lot of contact between him and Jack hit. And that may have damaged Jack's car. I saw the wing. May have taken a little bit of damage. That car model changed a little bit. And that put him all the way down to 6th on the grid. And Jeff Kemper now trying to take advantage of this rain in the 5th spot. White flag waves, final lap underway. Main tries to send her deep on Brad Waite. Winner on pole tonight for the 35-lap feature. Waite with a good gap on Rick Main. He tries to send it deep. Checkers way. Brad Waite wins Heat 1. Main put up some pretty good laps there. Brennan Lacey 3rd. Jeff Barker 4th. Jeff Kemper 5th. And 6th, Jack hit. Now moving on to heat race number 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspections. And here's the starting lineup. On the pole, Bob DeGood in car number 7. To his outside, it's Steven Fernberg racing in the 29. Row number 2, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in car number 39. Next to him, it's 100 grand Joseph Grundy in car 518. 5 number 3, the Goldners. Meet the Goldners. Stephen Goldner in car 30, Barry Goldner in car 36. Andy Patton checking in, our first message of the night, actually. Thanks for joining us, the General. As always, he's rooting for the Inferno Motorsports gang. No call for Stephen Goldner to grid, so he'll start for the back this evening in our feature. White flags out. We'll go green this time for our second of 3 heat races this evening. So we're set for the green flag for heat race number 2. Winner on the outside of the front row. Next to Brad Waite, we're underway. DeGood and Fernberg stay wing to wing. Patrick Spangler wants to take her 3 wide, nearly gets into good, and I think they barely touched. Fernberg leads lap number 1. Here comes Fernberg around the outside, breezes his way past DeGood. This 7 trying to fight back. Up the hill goes Bob. Leaders all single file, as it's a car length that separate Fernberg from Joseph Grundy. DeGood all over Patrick Spangler in the battle for 3rd. Up the hill goes Spangler as he slide jobs Bob DeGood. Not the start the driver, the 39 expected. But we watch this race for the lead. Fernberg and Joseph Grundy on board with the 518. Two laps to go in Heat 2 for Steven Fernberg. Leading a quarter of a second over Grundy. Patrick Spangler, quickest car on track. Final lap underway in the heat. Checkers flag waves. Steven Furberg takes the win in Heat 2. Grandy second, Spangler third to good fourth, and Barry Goldner rounds out the top 5. Heat 2 is done. We now move over to Heat 3, brought to you by Maurer Farm Management. And the professor back with us, John Hine on pole in car number 71. Next to him, it's Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 2, it's the Goose, Jack Cote in the 11. Next to him, the Boss, Ross Corina in the 10. Final car on the grid, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the number 83. One lap until we take the green flag. No call for Dittmer to grid. Something we should mention too about Chad Cote. Blake Chapman not in the lineup tonight, so he'll take a drop week. So that could be something that could possibly help out the Goose. We'll just have to see. So 4 drivers will take the green here in heat race number 3. High with a slider up on Zach Chapman to take the race lead away. Corina, Cote, side by side for position number 3, off for 4. High leads lap 1. Corina and Cote just barely touch for that 3rd position. So the Boss scrapes the wall through 3 and 4. High trying to open up the gap to a car length on Shaggy Zach Chapman. Making his way through turns number 3 and 4. The 2 nearly touch. Corina, quickest car on track, 10:93. Rolling underneath is the Boss. And Chapman edged him out the line for 2nd. 3 cars under a blanket for the race lead. 10:89 for the Boss. Ross Corina couldn't get the lead there at the line. Hine edged him out. 3 laps to go in heat race number 3. Good, nice low line speed though from Ross. He tries the slide job here over the Professor John Hine and takes the race lead away. 2 laps to go in heat 3. And now the race for 2nd is on. Chapman low small diamond through turns number 3 and 4. Final lap underway in heat 3. Off for turn 4, checkers wave. Ross Corina wins a heat. Contact as Chapman edges out Hine for 2nd. Great race at the end between the 2. So we'll step aside and go to break. When we come back, feature time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Stay with us. Final warm-ups here before we go racing in the Renegades division. Here are how the times look as Ross Corinna the quickest, the 10:8:27. Rick Main has a 10:86 in second. Brendan Lacey third, 10:95. Brad Wade fourth, 10:97. And Zach Chapman fifth, and 11:06. Checkers wave here on warm-ups. And we are ready to go racing. So we're ready to go and ready to meet the field of 17, ready to take the green. 35 laps the distance here around Pevely, Missouri. Here's a look at the starting lineup. On the pole, Brad Waite in the 814. To his outside, Steven Fernberg in the 29. Row number 2, the boss, Ross Corinna in the 10, and Rick Main in the 187. Row 3, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Next to him, it is Shaggy Zach Chapman in the 72. Row number 4, the lowline master, Brendan Lacey in the 114, and the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in car number 39. Rounding out the top 10, the Professor, John Hine in the 71, and the Bird to Beats, Jeff Barker in the 513. Row 6, Bob DeGood in car number 7, and the Goose, Chad Cote in the 11. Row 7, Jeff Kemper in the 181 and Barry Goldner in the 36. The 8th row, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in car number 83, and Gentleman Jacket in the 217. And the final car on the grid, Stephen Goldner in the 30. No call from Stephen to grid, and so we get set for 2 pace laps. Pick to win. I'm going to go with the man that starts 4th on the grid this evening. Give me Rick Main in the 187. And so the field is set to make their way through turns number 3 and 4. And with that, it is time to shake and bake, because where else would you rather be than right here, right now? It's showtime at I-55. Trouble in the back. Brendan Lacey's got around to the 114, and the first yellow immediately waves. No damage from the looks of it. It's Flatline Racing Bodies. Green flag will have to wait. Here's a look. Just touched the tire of Jack Head and just looped it. Don't know if he did that on purpose because he felt bad putting Jack in the wall or what it was. Very interesting. Just went around on its own. Alright, he's set for the green here. 1 lap complete.
Green flag, green flag.
Fernberg, Corinna, side by side for the 2nd spot. But the yellow flag waves once again. Not too sure for who, what, where, when, how, why. Maybe for this man here, Jeff Barker in the 513. Go single file once again on this restart. Here's the look. Looks like he may have had some wing damage. Ooh, hooked with the 7 to good and got the wall. Did he go around again? Nope, the car just came to a stop. Just touched the tire and in the wall he went. Back to green. Brad Waite holding serve at that 8-13. Corinna second. 3 wide for the third spot. Stephen Fernberg and Joseph Grandy. Rick Main all battling for that position. But here comes the boss, Ross Corinna, looking for the race lead on Brad Waite into turn number 3. Waite edging out, entering the corner. Side by side. Waite back of the gas. New leader, though, the boss, taking the lead on lap 4. Here comes Rick Main, wanting to get the third spot back from Stephen Fernberg. Breaks into the podium for the stop at the top 5. Man, holy slider! Joseph Grandy went too much of a slider. He forgot Stephen Fernberg was in front and nearly took out the 29 while throwing it in. So Grandy moves up to 5th. Rick Main now trying to attack on the 8-14. His teammate in a battle for 2nd. And Main wastes no time to take it cleared away from Brad Waite. Meanwhile, Ross Corinna with a 1 second lead on Rick Main to that 187. Back to the race for 5th spot here. Randy and Spangler having a good battle here. Now up 7 spots in the 8th position. Brandon Dittmer trying to be biggest mover once again like he was in the Open 358 race earlier tonight. Fernberg around the outside, putting a lap on Jeff Barker. Look out, Joseph Grandy sideways or even slideways off for turn 4. Allows Spangler to take advantage and move up to 5th. Grandy now down in 6th. Bob DeGood trying to slide job Brandon Dittmer here. Nice battle for 7th on the racetrack. Up on the wall went the 83. Actually got some speed off that. Now tries to close in on Joseph Grandy. We may go 3 wide off for 4. It was close. This is the best race on track right here. Let's go back up near the front as well. Spangler ripping the lip on Stephen Fernberg. Can he grab the 4th spot from the number 29? Past champion in the Renegades division. Cannot just yet. Off for turn number 2. Jack Hitt jumped to the pits. Must have ballparked it somewhere. We stay under the green flag. 20 laps remain here in this feature, and Spangler is up to the 4th spot from Stephen Fernberg. Look out, Barry Golder around. He may have actually got into pit road. Holy moly. Wait until you see this. That was like the perfect spin into an entry. Look at that. Watch this. Catches the wall. Just slides into pit road. But we stay green. Corinna. Rick Main, though, is all over him. The gap at 0.3 of a second. Main is the quickest car on the racetrack. You compare the top 2 speeds. But Main up on the wall in the 187. "15 laps remain. The battle for the race lead is on. Main's got a car set up for the long run, but he was also very good in qualifying. They're wing to wing into turn number 3. Can Main grab the bite off turn 4 on this slick surface? Nope. He tries to gather things back, but Corinna catches the wall. The 10 car able to hang on. Side by side once again to turn number 3. Main looking pretty good at the low line, entering the corner. Corinna good on corner exit. The boss still edging out. Main up the hill for just a moment. They stay side by side. The 187 a little bit squirrely on the exit of turn number 2. Corinna again. Drive on corner exit. So good in 3 and 4. It would help him secure the lead still for right now. Main good in 1 and 2, but again, very sideways off the corner. Just like it's been for the last few laps. Main entering as low as possible across the line. New race leader with 11 laps to go. Rick Main out front. But now Corinna getting the fight back off for turn number 2 up on the cushion. Borderline situation for the boss off for turn 4. deadlocked to the line, but it's Corinna as the two nearly get together. But Maine caught the wall, though, in turn 1. And then the wall once again went to 187. How bad did that damage the race car, though? We'll have to see. Saw in the CRSA feature on Weedsport last night where when Dylan Paddock caught the wall, damaged his Jacobs ladder. Could be the same case with Rick Maine really sideways as he tries to reel Corinna back in with 8 laps to go. But look at this lap traffic that the leaders are approaching. Never mind as I say that. Yellow, Brad Waite, Stephen Goldner around. Look at what happened. Just slightly made contact. Digo gets clipped. Ooh, man, Barry Goldner caught. Oh, Barry caught Steven. That will be an interesting conversation afterwards. Right on board with Steven here. Just mind his own business, and there's the contact off of Barry. Interesting inquiry behind closed doors later tonight. So 7 to go when we come back to green. Corinna as the leader. But what is it going to take to hang on over Rick Maine? We're about to find out as we come back to the green flag. Maine took a peek downstairs for the race lead. That unable to work though. Maine to the race lead with 6 to go. Oh my goodness, and the yellow waves again at the perfect time for the 187. And it's Stephen Goldner, Jeff Kemper. Oh boy, Kemper checked up, Goldner up and over he goes in the number 30. So we're set to come back to the green flag with 5 laps remaining. Rick Maine leads, Ross Corinna second, Patrick Spangler third, Joseph Grandy fourth, Brendan Lacey rounds out the top 5. Maine back to green. First time restarting as the leader tonight. Corinna trying to fight back in that number 10. Patrick Spangler trying to get in the thick of things, and same with Joseph Grandy off of turn 4. 4 laps to go for the 187. Corinna ripping the top off for turn 2. He's been good all night, but Rick Maine has just saved everything. Picture perfectly. Grandy and Spangler battle for third. The high side banger with the advantage, but he's got Brendan Lacey behind him as well in 5th. These two have had history a couple seasons ago when they were battling for the championship. The 2 best drivers in coast to coast at the time. 2 sticks of the air, 2 laps to go for Rick Maine in the 187. White flag waves on the final lap. Spangler, Grandy battle it out. Corinna looking for one last shot, but it's the driver of the Inferno Motorsports, Henko Holmes, 187 off for turn 4. Checkered flag, Rick Maine wins. Corinna second, Spangler third, Grandy fourth, and Dittmer fifth. How about Brandon as well? Up 10 spots to finish 5th. And so Rick Maine takes the checkered flag. Parks are on the front stretch. It's his third win of the season, tied with Blake Chapman for the most. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a future championship contender in the Renegades division. Main, Corinna, Spangler, Grandy, Dittmer, Lacey, Chapman, DeGood, Waite, and Fernberg. That is the top 10. We're only going to talk with your winner here due to time constraints on mine, as I have to log off here real quick. Actually, you know what? We're going to bring in our top 3 immediately here. We'll start things off with Ross Corinna. Ross, unfortunately, I got to make it quick. Take me through this one from your perspective, and after that, who you want to give shout-outs to.
Obviously good win by Rick there. Wish I didn't leave the door open there and then yellow came out, unfortunately, at a very bad time for me. But like I said, good win for Rick there. Phantom Motorsports guys, M9, Velocity Race Design. You guys for putting on the show, and everybody at Coast to Coast making the league work.
You guys put on a great run tonight. Great battle for the win. Well done tonight, Ross.
Thank you.
So Ross Corinna finishing in the second spot. I'm having issues with my mouse. You have to put yourself back in the other room. We'll go to victory lane, though, as we bring in your race winner, Rick Main, in car number 187. Third win of the year, Rick, and it started by quick time. Take me through it.
Yeah, I barely made it to qualify, and I was trying to squeeze that Knoxville league in, and just happened to put up one good lap. Couldn't get around Brad. He was flying in that heat race, and then I thought the track was going to be a little bottom dominant, so I set my car up to be better down that side of the track, and it just happened to come to me. And I thought I threw it away there when me and Carenta were battling, but I was able to suck back up to him, and then got around him on that one restart. Just had to hit my marks.
Did you have the car set up for probably late in the race once you finished up qualifying?
Yeah. I kind of thought, it seemed like a lot of the guys were pounding the top, so that the bottom was just going to be there. So I threw some more wing in it and just hoped and prayed, because I'm not a setup guy by any means. So.
Well, next week, Houston Speedway for the championship finale. Give me your thoughts going on, and obviously I know you're not in the battle for the championship next week, but I know down the road, with the way you're performing, you could be a championship contender.
Yeah, I'd like to try to make every race, maybe next season. I had a lot of work stuff going on this season, and just couldn't make some of them, but I like the points race. I'm not always a guy that wins, so, racing for a top 5 in points is fun to me, so... Yeah, I'd like to. I love Houston. I won that big Houston race we did, so that's a good track for me. I look forward to it.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Just all the guys at Inferno, JRB Designs, Hinkle Homes, A&J Customs, Highline Cinematography, all you guys up here in the booth, and then all the guys at C2C, and congrats to Ross. He had a hell of a race there with me, and Spangler must have been coming. I see he finished third. So thanks, buddy.
Congrats to your winners here tonight. I just realized I was muted. My apologies. That'll do it for us. We'll talk to you next Monday at Houston Speedway. Thanks for joining us for a good one. I'm F. with the Coast to Coast Race League, all the fine drivers and sponsors, our terrific crew of admins. Marius Callis saying so long. Your winners tonight, Joseph Grandy in Open 358s, Jeff Kemper in his return to the Rebels division, and your winner in Renegades, Rick Main in the Renegades. So long, everyone.